Imperial Kingdom. So we're hearing some interesting things now, like Devon Haney and Boots about to lock in, possibly, but they're talking about it. There's a challenge now made by from Boots' side. I heard some people, not many, I heard Tim Bradley downplay it, but I don't know. I just don't see why that's a problem. I don't see why that's a problem. Why not? Tell me why not. I mean, if we take an unbiased look at this fight, at this potential fight between the two of them, what's the big deal? What's the issue? You see an issue? I don't. Boots is an excellent fighter. Boots is an excellent fighter. Boots has got it going on in the boxing. Like, he gets a puppet, we know that for sure. Right? And Devon is fabulous too. Devon is fabulous too. And why on earth would someone want to try to act like that fight is unreasonable or it's unrealistic? There's nothing unrealistic about that fight. Nothing unrealistic. Boots is 5'10". Haney's 5'9". Boots has 3 inches on him in reach. There is literally nothing crazy in terms of size difference that is just so outlandish that, oh no, both of them can't get in the ring, and then start pouring discouragement on Devon for such a fight. No way. This is absolutely a realistic fight, 100%. Especially when one of the fighters, the one coming up, is confident to do this. If he wants to do it, there's nothing out of the way that is such an extent where you'll have to say, oh, you need to be careful for your health, or you need to be careful for this and that. No. I don't see that one bit. There's absolutely nothing like that. Is that to say Devon's automatically going to win? How can I say that? Devon's automatically going to win. Boots isn't just your regular fighter or your average fighter. But neither is Devon. Do I have reason to say Boots is automatically going to win? How can I say that? Either. How can anyone say that? Where are you going with that? Why would I or anyone be able to come to that conclusion and claim to be reasonable? No, there's no reasonable judgment that can conclude that it's such an outlandish fight to take place. It's a very, very, very realistic fight. In fact, the sooner the better. Sooner the better. Boots is in his prime, or moving into. He's not in his prime. Moving into. Devon is also moving into his. He's not in his prime either, but they're in their youth, so to speak, moving into. They're in perfect time to test these things out, experiment, weight to division climbs, all these things. This is the best time, especially for Boots. It's his best time for doing what he just did now, going up to 154. Perfect time for Devon also, how he just made that decision to move up to 147. He made it bang on perfect time. And now if he wants to if he's thinking about 154, perfect time also. Perfect time. And let me tell you something, 154 is a fabulous place right now. Absolutely fabulous place. Excellent. The talent there is amazing. To do great works, to execute great exploits in terms of achievement, in terms of attainment, in terms of financial range as well. What you can actually do there, no matter how you want to look at it. And the thing about that division also, because of the vastness of the talent there. Even if you lose, it's not the end of the world. Even if you lose, that doesn't mean it's over. So long as you're in decent health, so long as you haven't been totally crushed, coming back, even if one was crushed, one could come back after, if they give themselves decent time to recover and come back. So this is the great thing for me. Both of them are in absolutely perfect time to begin to make room for this type of fight. I'm absolutely down for this. Absolutely down for this. 100%. Like, if you want to compare the level of fighters they both have in terms of resume, Devon Haney obviously surpasses Boots by far, by miles. By miles. I remember watching that Lomachenko fight versus Gary Russell Jr. And Russell was at his peak prime, perfect. Physically, it was so impressive at that time. If one ever saw the reels of his operations, it was so spectacular. Gary Russell Jr. He was an Olympian too, and I was saying, oh, if Loma is what they're saying he is, he better show it, because I don't know how you're going to get past someone like Russell the way he operates at that time. And Loma came. That was, we've got all these negative things we say about Loma, but that was one fight where Loma demonstrated to me his qualities, actual quality, tit for tat. What you got versus what I got. What you got after that versus what I got after that. What you got after that versus what I got after that. That was an amazing performance by Gary Russell, who was, just like I just said, it doesn't matter if you lose, who was the loser in that fight. But at the time, the atmosphere in boxing wasn't like that, because boxers weren't taking it like that. That it doesn't matter if you lose. He lost that fight, and I don't know how grueling it was on his body. I'm not in his body, but it didn't look to be that type of fight where he needed to disappear forever. But he seemed to disappear for too long without making a reasonable statement back in the game. So he shouldn't have taken it like that. It just depends. See, when a fighter loses, it depends on how you take it. You're the one who's supposed to be the manager of that situation, of the loss. You have to know how to come back, how to handle that situation of the comeback. For some reason, Gary Russell was doing more talking than he was doing fighting. However, that loss showed me, in fact, how fantastic Gary Russell was. He was fabulous, brilliant. Watching that fight, man, I was amazed. I was loving what was coming through. And then that showed me even more how incredible Lomachenko was. His responses. Both of them, it was like, it's like watching in tennis, watching Federer v Nadal in that period of time when both of them were killing it. It's like, the way that fight was, I'm talking about. So Loma came up, Loma fought Teofimo Lopez, further from that time. And Lopez did what he did. Loma made his comebacks against certain good fighters as well. And then he had his fight with Devon, and he had his rematch. Devon came out on top. Devon has done his business against whoever. We had that cheating situation versus Ryan Garcia cheated the scales, cheated the fight, took drugs as well. But that was now nulled. That was made into a no contest because of Ryan's cheating. But now, Devon also made his mark against Brian Norman Jr. And he really showed what he was about. He had a fight even before that and showed what he's about. But he came and demonstrated it even more. He did it with Regis Prograis even before that. And he showed what he's about. So there's no way we can start talking about, like Boots is. Hey, I like Boots. Fighting wise, I like Boots. in terms of his fighting, is excellent. Boots is top notch. Boots is the real deal in boxing, right? As far as fight is concerned. But Devon, I wouldn't, if I was a coach or a family member or Devon's, something like that, or close friend or something like that, I wouldn't, and you're inclined to protect those close to you, I wouldn't feel that way towards Devon, in the sense that I wouldn't feel like this was one of those situations where you have to protect him away from it. No, let's be realistic. I support Boots. I watch his fights. I pay for his fights. Yeah. So don't say I'm being biased or anything like that. I didn't like what he did with Bud. Going off and trying to play the, his political mind, or his, if you like, senses in other senses need to be developed in terms of maturity. Yeah. Going off the other way to try to support Canelo against Bud on a crucial fight as far as America's concerned. America v Mexico and all that stuff, and many other senses. You can look at it from the ethnic side of it as well. There are many ways that I don't need to spell out right here where he messed up. It rhymes with spell out. But anyways, he should know what he did there. It's up to him. It's up to him. I'm not gonna create a lynching situation now. That one is gone. But people need to. If you want to say he was young or whatever, that's up to you fellas to determine that. Yeah. Hopefully you learned from that. Hopefully you learned some lessons from that. What to do, what not to do. But as far as the fight is concerned, let's talk just athletically speaking, just in terms of boxing, right? Boots is a fabulous fight, incredible fighter. Yeah. Devon is too. Devon is elite. Devon is one of the elite, outstanding fighters right now in our time. Devon, and he's really begun to pull his head out. Like when a 100 meter sprint, he's really begun to. When one guy begins to leave the pack, he's really begun to do that in boxing now. It's difficult in this period because there's so much talent. So much talent. If someone hasn't left the pack, it's not because they're not talented. It's just that there's so much talent right now. Great fighters out there. And various promotional outlets that are giving them solid backing as well at times. But Devon has done the business in this season. We have to give Devon credit. He's done the business in this season, and he's putting away. I don't see why he should be afraid to have a Boots fight. I don't see why he should feel that way. That should be out of the question. Like I said, Boots is 5'10", Devon is 5'9". Boots has 3 inches on him in terms of reach as well. So height-wise, the same. Reach-wise, 3-inch difference. But Devon is such a fantastic fight. Of course, the challenge will be for him moving up. But how much challenge is that? It's not a long time since Boots just came in. In fact, Boots is actually settling in to the 154 division. Boots is settling into the 154 division. And he's done brilliantly. We saw his fight with Xander Zayas. We saw his fight with Zayas. That was an amazing fight. And you saw what he's capable of doing. But would I say Devon can't just go up and do the same right now and then be in the mix? So that puts Devon and Boots with Spence. Like I said in the last video, Spence wants to come back, and take his 160 operation as an experiment, because his blows were being too easily absorbed by his opponent, by Zhu. And Zhu was touching him with medium level shots that were having high level effect. Even though Zhu didn't want to really go in the mix, because like I said, Spence has that reputation. Spence, he's an eye puller, eye stealer, jaw breaker. He's taking orbital bones out, cheekbones, rib bones. Zoo was just thinking, no, I don't want to just get in there and just be anything happen to me. I want to go home with my ribs. Yeah. I want to go home with my jaws, with my eye sockets. Yeah. Boots was like, no, not Boots. Zoo was very, very quick. That fight he was backing up. But when he did touch Spence, the effect was just too easy. I was like, no, this is not good. He went in there, Boots would hit him multiple shots, and see he pulled back too. Zoo decided, no, I don't like this either. Zoo didn't like it either. But then it seemed like too much work for Spence, too much work, unnecessary work. Like, look, you're working harder than you need to be working. 154 might be the place for Spence, and I said this is something he could think about. He could take it as a thought. Yeah, it doesn't mean you must do it. When fighters say they're retired, doesn't always mean they're retired. Doesn't always mean they're retired. And he could come back. Spence could come back and have a great time at middleweight at 154. 154. That might be the home. That might be the space where he can operate with that vigor, intensity. He wasn't moving like a freight train in his last fight the way he normally does. I know he might have, okay, you got to eat all you want, you got to do all that, but that's 2 whole weight divisions. Sometimes even one division up can be very, very tasking for a fighter. 2 whole divisions, and he held his own. He didn't get knocked out. We couldn't even tell whether the other guy won or not. At the end of the fight, I was like, okay, I wonder who won this one. I couldn't say for sure, but yes, obviously, Zoo's shots were looking more boom, boom. So only on that basis. But there were some multiple shots that Spence was getting in where it looked like Zoo might be hurt. Zoo was pulling back, but and go away. So if they had given it to Spence, I wouldn't have said robbery. Because the only difference was that Boots, I keep saying Boots, Zoo wasn't reacting to the shots. So Spence might come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Boots is just like, and Zoo's just like, instead of, but when he touched Spence, he was like, So the judges were looking at that more than who's actually striking. So if that was like an amateur fight, Olympics, for example, Spence might have won that fight because it seemed like he touched Boots more. It seemed like he actually made contact with the Zoo more. Third time I've said Boots again when I meant Zoo. Because that's really the main topic is Boots, really. Boots and Devon. But I'm relating this to it. So these people are available. These people are on the field. Spence might be there if he comes back, like I said, and takes the 160 operation as an experiment. He might come back and find that 154 might be better. It might be better for me to try 154 rather than going up to 160, 2 whole entire weight divisions, and stressing myself to tap the guy and he's not even responding. It may be more times than he hit me. I think Spence hit him more times than he hit him. If this was an Olympic fight, international, European championship, a world championship, those type of fights, they might have given it to Spence. Legitimately, not by robbery. But the effect, it was looking more like, and honestly speaking, so I wouldn't say it was a robbery either, of course not. It genuinely looked like, Spence managed to move around. He's a veteran now. He knows, he's experienced. He knew how to move around and look after himself, so it didn't look too bad and too obvious that he was the one, nearly being hurt. And also, he didn't actually get hurt like that. He didn't. It wasn't a grueling fight. So it might be good for Spence to come back, return sooner rather than later. Not soon like right now, but soon enough. The camp might be more grueling than the fight. So he still have to recover from the camp and all that. But for him to come back soon enough, relatively speaking, in terms of months, rather than extra months, year and all that stuff. No. If you're going to come back, should be soon enough. And it just seemed to me that 154, if he can do that, would be much better. Because then, what you're doing will also have the reasonable effect, rather than just you're getting it popping in there, but it's not. It's like you on a punch bag. You know those punch bags that just don't feel good. Seem like it's not stuffed enough. So this is it. There's Spence, there's Fondura, there's Thurman, there's Boots, there's Xander Zayas. It's a great place. It's a great place. There's Ortiz, there's Zoo. Yo, plenty of payday right there. Plenty of payday. Let me tell you something, that field is ripe. 154 is a great one too. Great one too. You know? And as far as the fight is concerned itself, between Boots and Devon, you just can't say it. I don't think you can really make a bet. Boots can make a bet. Would you bet? Would you bet your house? Yeah, you can make a bet. Of course you can make a bet. But can you make a bet like bet your house? If you're really honest, you know you can't really do that. Say, it's going to be Boots. And Boots is super talented. I'm not saying he's not talented. And he's a good fighter. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. Of course he is. But this just goes to show how good Devon is. Also, the competition is there. It's good. And Boots may feel, look, I just need to do this and this and that. Fair play to you. He is. He has every right to think that. You know, he is a fabulous fighter. So if Boots is thinking, whatever, when he come here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to spit on that either. I'm not going to spit on that because he legit is a good top fighter. But can I say Devon is not either? Of course he is. Devon absolutely is, and this is what this is about. This is about competition. Fighting is about competition. Fighting is about getting it popping and going home with a whole bag of dough. That's what this is about. And not only that, you're making history. You're absolutely making great leaps, great achievements in the game. And while you're doing it, this is Hall of Fame moves. This is Hall of Fame moves. You're sowing those seeds way before time. And of course, see, you don't even have to be focused on dollars in the bag. If you think like that, you probably spend it all. But you do have to think about what you're after though. Yeah? Because at the end of the day, that dollar's gonna come with it. Then you can build your life the way you want to build your life. Both of them. Look, this era, they play too much. They play too much for that. Eras before would have done this and done a rematch even. Possibly even a trilogy by now. Yeah. Yeah. And then whatever you're thinking about, you know, monetary wise and all that, that's going to come with it. That's going to come with it. That's going to come with it. The dollar is not, if that's what you're thinking about, half the time, thinking about that too much, half the time, does the opposite. Because you end up not focused. And you end up losing, like look what happened with Keyshawn Davis. Right? Look at that situation. The bag didn't even show up because the mind was off. Mind was off. No. You have to think right. Absolutely have to think right. So I don't see what, you know, I heard Tim saying all this stuff. You know, Desert Storm, Tim Bradley saying all these things like, look, oh, Devon, you better leave that boy alone. And nah, this is what boxing's about. Come on, man. How bad is it? I would say that, leave that boy alone. If it was so bad where you look like you're going to get yourself hurt. Like, look, remember when Kell Brook jumped 2 divisions to face GGG? And GGG was a specimen, even for his own division. Right? And Kell Brook is no slouch. He's a keyhole opener. So what he did to many good fighters. Be a keyhole opener. Right? Problems, man. That's different. That's jumping too high. Same I just said about Errol Spence. Go too high, that's different. This is not too high. How are you gonna now try to discourage a man from getting in with it? This is just one division up from where he comfortably is right now. And another thing, Devon is the consummate professional. This is what I would say. This is what I would say to anyone who's his coach or anyone who's his father or his detractor, someone who's trying to discourage him away from it, who knows the game too, like Tim Bradley. I would say, hey, take a look at not just the man's resume. Look at how he deals in the office. Come on, man, this boy, he does his talking when he needs to, but he doesn't live there. He doesn't live there. He's a consummate professional when it comes down to getting down to business. Yeah, getting down to work. Devon gets it popping in the office. He goes to work, man. Come on. See, you're not talking to someone who doesn't know who doesn't have the discipline, who doesn't know what he's doing in the office. He gets it popping, you know. So I wouldn't be discouraging Devon at all. I say go get it. It's worth it. Now, if you win, we already know. You can imagine how stratospheric that goes to beat someone like Boots. That you're talking at the moment. Now, don't you fellas now backtrack if it happens and say, oh, Boots was nobody anyway. See, that's the problem now. This is boxing fans, man. You guys. now you can turn around. Oh well, who was Boots? Who did he fight? All that stuff. Look, I can't blame you, and I have to blame Boots for that. I have to. I like Boots, and we all wanted much for Boots at the beginning coming in, but who's to blame? Teofimo challenged him. Ryan Garcia challenged him to fight. Yeah? Blair the Flair challenged him face to face before the cameras, before all of us, in the public. Blair the Flair, Blair Cobbs. Conor Ben said he was going to decimate the entire division. Boots did not say one word to either of them. Fabulous Boots, man. Fabulous Boots. He got hands. But he didn't say one word. And then he went off. And I was like, man, imagine if you had all those on your resume. That's if you won. Because it's not promised that you won. But if you had won, imagine that now. And no one's going to say, oh, well, who you fought? Or on top of it, imagine the amount of bags you'd have now in your account from all that. And then secondly, or thirdly, the experience you have as well. Not only fighting, but big night fighting, and also high level events. So there's so much to that. So don't say people are coming at you sideways, or they're saying all these things, or these people talking about me again, blah blah blah. No. You have to understand that this is, he's the one bringing it on himself. And then he said, I don't be talking. Why don't you be talking? So you come into boxing and you don't. People are talking to you, but you're not going to talk back. They're challenging you, but you're not saying anything. What's boxing about? We're here to fight, and if we're fighting, why? You're up for fighting, but you're not up for talking. No. No one's saying spend the whole day talking, but say that thing that you need to say. Tell them, Ryan Garcia challenged you to a fight. The answer should have been, let's go. Blair Cobbs challenged you, should have been, let's go. Teofimo challenged you non-stop. Not only that, he put plenty of racist tirade to that. Should have been, let's get it popping. Right? Conor Ben said what he had to do, should have set it up. Everyone would have gained. Boxing world, you, even the loser would gain. This is how we eat in boxing. It's a whole ecosystem. Yeah? It's a whole industry. Everybody gains. And then the next person who fights, the winner gains, and the person who even fights, even the loser gains. Who the loser fights next? This independence that professional boxing has is a great thing. But it has its downfall. You lose, you just disappear. That's it. Oh, I've lost. I'm a nobody. But that's because a lot of fans were gathering around that idea, that thought pattern. It's up to the fighter. Look at the old days, the days of the 80s, the days of even the 90s, but before that, the 60s, back in the 70s. You're fighting. Lose, what does lose mean? You're back again. Do your thing. Rest up correctly though. I'm not asking you to be a stupid idiot. Heal up. Do what you're supposed to do. Medically and all that stuff. And then make your comeback. You make your comeback. Do all the appropriate stuff. Make your comeback correctly. This is what boxing's about. You don't just lose, even if you lost. Look, if for example, Devon lost. The thing about this day and age, which is the difference, is before, the fans didn't have a mouth. Your word was only heard on the street, in a barbershop, at home, at school, wherever, in a business place. But now, everybody's got a comment in the comment section. And the fans have now word. But, fair enough, we have to deal with that too. So answer them. You've got to deal with that too. Answer them with your action, with your deeds. At the end of the day, he's the fighter who is in control of his own narrative, of his career. By what you do. Your action is the answer. Not only the words, this is not politics where you only speak. Your action, what you do, answer. Look at Devon. They tried to build a narrative against him. He answered it with his actions, consistently. That's incredible discipline. That discipline of a mighty height. And he put it through. He got through with it. Despite even what? Major setbacks. Like that Ryan Garcia season. Ryan was nasty and dirty. It's just scummy. Even publicly saying, I'm gonna cheat the scales. Drank alcohol on the scale. Came back bigger than the actual weight, that stipulation. Then they found Austrian in his body. Shouted out, "Oh, I hate niggas," and all this stuff. He said. So, swearing at everybody, telling Cambosos that he banged his girl, his woman, I think it was his wife. What nonsense. But the thing is, imagine losing under those conditions. Most people, even fighters, would bury their heads. Remember how Teofimo did when he lost? How he buried his head. He lost to Cambosos. He went nutty. He went crazy. Even Ryan went nutty his own self. Yeah, he lost the Tank and all this stuff. People just, weak. But even a strong can lose it too. But they shouldn't be losing it. But they can bury themselves, but not lose it. These lot just lost their mind. Just stupid. But don't lose your mind over that. Who are you paying attention to? This world? This fickle people? No. But Devon, look at the success he made after all that setback. He made a setback into a comeback, a major comeback. And he really, really, really succeeded. That was the definition of succeeding in this system. So for him to now go up against Boots, it's absolutely realistic. It's not unrealistic. I'll absolutely support that fight. 110%. Definitely. That's a great fight. That's a very realistic fight. 100%. So this one, no, I disagree. Holy. For anyone who says, no, that's not. What do you mean? What do you mean? Why? Why not? Why not? Why not? Tell me why not? This is a very realistic, doable fight, and sooner than later, sooner, because you want to start giving time for the other one to settle in even more. But regardless, even if they're settling more, that really absolutely should be a look. Let's just say Devon even lost, big deal. So long as he rests well and comes back, there's plenty to fight in that playing field. And then now, even Conor Ben, he's saying 147 might be his last, or most likely his last. It'll be 154, and I feel like Conor Ben is also, at this point, because he's young, he can get away with it now. not just young. He's moving in. He's still in his youth, in between his youth and his prime. It's not at prime yet, so he can probably get maybe get. There's a likelihood, or let's say there's a better chance that he can get away with it, chemically adjusted. You know, coming down from 160 to 147 and still operating optimally. It's a possibility that he can do that. And if he does, 154 very likely will be his best division for now. And then he could try 160 at the other end of his career. I think 154 might be his best place also. So let's plenty to say on this one. Let's not keep it too long for a minute. Till next time on Imperial Kingdom, Xtreme Martial Artist, Combat Master, Olisa Eric Ossai. Let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. I want to see this fight. Don't you?